Thank you for coming. Everyone can serve, and while you're eating, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm Sonia Anderson. I'm the Director of Housing Operations here at the Raleigh Housing Authority. And we're excited that we have a great turnout. It's best than I've seen in a long time, so I'm so glad you're here. And before I turn it over to our CEO, at the door, there is an advertisement for a tennis camp for ages 8 through 15. They will come on to the property and pick up the children. So it's limited space. So when those applications run out over there, then we've filled up our spots. So the information, I'm here afterwards if you want to ask me about it or turn your application into me. So we're excited to offer that for the children this summer, something for them to do. Again, ages 8 through 10 is going to go to tennis camp July 1st through the 5th. And ages 11 through 15 or June 17th through the 21st. Okay. All right. And I'm going to turn it over to Raleigh Housing Authority's Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ashley Longridge Johnson.
Good evening to all of you and welcome. It's good to see so many of you here, residents in particular at this meeting. This is an important, very important meeting, and we'll have a number of important meetings. So tonight we're going to talk mainly about an application called the Section 18 application, as well as the relocation plan for Heritage Park. So those will be the main topics. I do want to just go over a couple of things. One is I want to remind all of you about the reason why we have entered into a redevelopment planning process and why we are intending to redevelop the property. The main reason has to do with the condition of Heritage Park. As part of an analysis of the conditions here, it was discovered that over a period of 3 years, the Housing Authority has to invest about $60,000 per year over 3 years on every single unit in order to bring this property to a more livable a more livable property, as well as a property that is safe and conducive to community. And because of that high cost in terms of HUD regulations, it's too high to invest federal dollars into it. And so therefore, our option is to redevelop the property. So that's why we are talking to you about this, and why we have been planning for a period of time. And so without any kind of additional comments from me, I want to turn the meeting over to our next speaker, where is Kenya Pleasant. Kenya Pleasant is our Chief Real Estate Development Officer, and she heads up our development department. So Kenya will come and talk about the plan and come on.
And I also want to let everyone know we are recording the meeting, just the audio, no video. And we request that if you would like to do your own recording, that you also just do audio only to protect privacy of our folks here. Thank you.
Thank you. So actually it's given, a welcome and given a little bit of background as to why we are here and how we got here. I want to take a brief moment. We have a lot of folks from RHA with us in the room. So I want to take an opportunity to go around and let everyone introduce themselves. Again, I'm Kenya Pleasant, and I am the Chief Real Estate Development Officer. I head up the development operations for RHA, and I'm joined by two colleagues, Rachel Gugliade and Chris Whitehill, our project managers, that recently joined RHA and will be working on the Heritage Park project. And I'm gonna let Sonia do an introduction of her.
Again, I'm Sonia Anderson, Director of Housing Operations. So with me tonight, I have two regional property managers, Melissa McCormick and Vanessa Wood. Hi. And then also, we have Nicole. She will be joining our team and her office will be here at Heritage Park. So Ms. Nicole is going to be your property manager here at Heritage Park, and she'll be starting on June 3rd, so we're excited to have her. I think that's everybody from my department. Oh, Frank Dunn, your live-in maintenance, right? Frank?
Hey, Frank. And then we have some folks from our voucher program, Mr. President, so I'm giving them an opportunity to.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Kennedy, Housing Choices Voucher Manager, and we have Ms. Regina.
I'm Regina Hardaway. I'm the project-based voucher administrator.
And then,
I'm Laura McCann, Special Assistant. I help with programs and procedures for the agency, and I will be working with the relocation team specifically at Heritage Park as well. So you will see me at many of these meetings.
And I'm Katie Librato. I'm the communications manager. So I'm the one that sends all those emails. If you have any questions about anything you get, don't hesitate to write back. I'll be at the other end and I can pass that to anyone if I can't answer your question.
yeah, and that's really important, as we go through this process, to make sure you pay attention to all of those communications. We're gonna be communicating with you in a variety of ways. As Katie mentioned, this meeting is going to be recorded. We're also gonna have some virtual, meeting options later this week. And we'll be communicating with you via email as well as, via flyers. I think that, you know, as we've gone through this process, I think we've tried to stress, the importance of collaboration and communication with the residents, and so I'm very thrilled. I think this is the biggest turnout that we've had since I've been participating, so, you guys should all be very proud. Give yourself a round of applause for attending here. We really, really appreciate you guys coming out. You could have been in a lot of other places, but you have chosen to be here, so then we're very grateful to have you guys participate. So. Now, I think Ashley, as Ashley mentioned, we are now entering into this phase. We had this. Thank you. We had a very robust engagement in terms of trying to reach out to the community. I see a lot of familiar faces of people who have participated in that process, and we are very grateful for that. And from that process, we now have a vision for the future for Heritage Park. There was over 11 meetings that I think that we've had over the past 12 months. Where we had meetings with community members, residents, other stakeholders, to come up with what is a vision and to get your input. For those that were able to come and participate, we had it here on site at Heritage Park, some of those meetings. And people were actually able to, you know, opine and give feedback as to what they wanted to see at Heritage Park. And this is what Heritage Park looks like now. And on the right is a result of all of that input and feedback, and creating this vision for the future for Heritage Park. Next slide, please. Again, so not to go through every single step, but we have gone through a lot of meetings, we're snaking around, and this is where we are right now. And we're at that section 18 application part, as Ashley kind of gave feedback as to why we are going through this process. And so what I'm going to describe is just give a real brief, high-level overview of what section 18 is and what it means for the site and for you as residents. So the section 18 process is really the process that allows us, you may hear it as referred to as a section 18 disposition. And so that's a process that where we submit an application to HUD to dispose of the property or to sell the property, convey the property. We are not selling it to a third party where we're not involved. We do have to set up a third party entity. It cannot be the housing authority itself. We're gonna sell it to a third party, but RHA will still own the site and will be a participant in the development. So I know that there's been some conversations way back that we're selling the project and we're not gonna be involved and it's not gonna be owned by RHA. And that is not the case. The approval, once the property go through this disposition, it allows us to get vouchers for all of the residents. And those are gonna be tenant protection vouchers, and what that basically means is it enables us to keep the units affordable to all the existing residents. So we are going through a disposition process, you'll get a tenant protection voucher, and your rent will still be calculated based on your household income. So I think that's a real key piece. I know that there's been some questions about that. Now that will change, it could change very slightly just because of the difference in the programs. And we will get into that when we go more and talking about what the voucher process looks like. This section 18 process, we're not requesting any more dollars from HUD, but what this process does allow us to do is to go after other financing, whether that be low-income housing tax credits. We can go out to the private market and use that money as part of the redevelopment for the site. And as part of this, we have to promise certain things. And one main thing that, and we've talked about this, I think in some of the previous meetings, but for those of you with this is, raise your hand if this is your first time. First time at one of these meetings. It's only a few. We've talked about this in previous meetings, you've heard this come up about our commitment to making sure we do a 1-for-1 replacement. I think that one of the criticisms that we've received in the past, and it's a reality, is that when we did some of our other redevelopments that we built less units. And there was a displacement of folks. And as it relates to Heritage Park, we're making a commitment to do a 1-for-1 replacement. So we will come back with 122 units that are going to be subsidized units. And so that's where rents will still be based on income. In addition to that, we're going to build additional unsubsidized affordable units. And on the first slide, it showed you a concept of what that new vision for Heritage Park is. And what we're estimating in terms of right now, when we went through that planning process, is that we could build in total anywhere between 550 to 900 units. So we're gonna have at least 122 units that are gonna be subsidized, where rents are gonna continue to be based on household income. And we're gonna build even more units, anywhere between 550 to 900 units. In addition to that, we are allowing residents in good standing to have the right to return. So all the existing residents that are here will have an opportunity and a right to return. And RHA will cover reasonable relocation costs as part of the move, because everyone is going to have to be relocated off site so that we can do the development. And RHA is going to compensate and have reasonable relocation costs. And I think something that was not done previously, we're also going to have costs for you to return. That's right. No, that's not the way that, I mean, you see a lot of development around here. There's a lot of factors that we did evaluate to see if we could do a phased relocation. A couple of big things that I'll note is, one is costs, right? So for us to be able to do that phased demolition, the site costs alone, we've gotten some estimates, is anywhere between about 20 to 25 million. That's for the whole site, for all of the phases. If we were to do the phase demo, that would add at least 40 to 50% additional cost to that. If we did that, that means we would build less units, and so we wouldn't be able to have as many units on site. The other big thing is, I'll say is, you know, you all have experience living next to a construction site, not even on site, and the inconveniences that come with that with respect to street closures. Now imagine that happening on your site, where we have one way in and one way out, right? And there's children on this site, and to have children living on an active construction site creates a lot of issues and liability, where we just don't think that that is a good quality of life for residents. But we did look at it, knowing that we wanted to have this, you know, minimal disruption. Unfortunately, there's some site constraints that really prohibit us being able to do that, but that was something that we did try to evaluate. Another thing is the way that the utilities are structured on site. Would actually have to pay to move those twice, again, adding to the cost. And you know, we couldn't guarantee that you guys would have, again, a good quality of life and access to the utilities like you would want to. So that's a really good question.
So your plan was to move twice, move
That-
off site and then come back on site, once the site has been complete.
That's right.
That's the last thing.
Okay, I thought I had another. Well, that leads us into the next part where I'm gonna turn it over to Lord. He's gonna have, talk to you about relocation. I will say that we gave you a very high level overview of the Section 18 process. We're gonna post some information to our website. Some additional information from HUD if you really want to dig into all of the regulations. And if you guys have any questions, my contact information, please don't hesitate to reach out.
All right, and I'm Laura. Again, I want to make this very clear. This is the first of many, many, many of these meetings, so please feel free to ask questions. If you forget something, feel free to reach out. We're gonna have more meetings like this later this week, next month. We're gonna have people do one-on-one. So please don't feel like you have to get everything absolutely right tonight. We're gonna have so much communication, you're probably gonna get tired of it, okay? So for the relocation, I wanted to ask a couple of questions specifically that I think the residents really, really want to know. And the first one is, do I qualify to have relocation assistance? So what you need to do to qualify is to answer yes to these questions. I am in the United States legally. You're on a Heritage Park lease, everybody should be saying yes to that.
Yeah.
I am on a Heritage Park lease agreement. I assume if you're in this meeting, that's yes as well. I have made my rent payments on time, or I'm in a repayment agreement with my manager. So you all would know where you are on that. And I'm not being evicted by my manager. Again, that would be between you and your manager. But if you can say yes to all of those questions, you're gonna qualify for relocation assistance, okay? Those are the things you need to meet to qualify. Do we have any questions on that?
And they pay the section there, if they're not on it, I can go ahead and on the best new.
So if you're behind on your rent payments, you should be working with your manager to get caught up. They'll give you a couple months, they'll give you an agreement to do that, and they will work with you. You're gonna run into trouble if you don't communicate with your manager and you don't work with them on it. But if you're working with them, we're assuming, you know, that is being addressed and that you meet that standard.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if I have just all of these questions, so we coming back to this location is guaranteed, but it's minimally.
We'll get to that, yeah, we'll get to that, we're expecting it to be guaranteed, but we'll go over that specific criteria as well, okay?
I have a question.
Yes,
When we do the relocation,
which we don't know when that's gonna happen. That means we have to relocate our kids to school and everything. Right. I'm like, this is a whole lot to process with a relocation and trying to relocate them in a different school. And then if we get to come back, we have to redo that all over again.
Yeah. Yes, we understand that. We're gonna have managers come in and work with you and specialists work with you to identify specifically for each household. What are my concerns? Or school systems a concern? Is my job location a concern? Do I have medical appointments and I need to be specific to that? So we'll work with you on all of that. We are absolutely aware that that is a concern for a lot of people. And we want to be as transparent about making sure we're meeting those needs for you as we can. Okay, so the next question that I thought would be something that's gonna be a big topic is that we're gonna be paying, RHA is gonna be paying to relocate residents. So what does that look like for you all?
Say hi.
What does that look like for you all?
I said hi.
Hi?
Yes.
Well, this is, the chart for the I'm sorry, is that a question? I'm understanding.
Okay, so just put a 3-bedroom.
The cost will be high, yes. We're aware that that will be high. So we're gonna have a couple different options you can pick from. One would be a fixed amount based on your bedroom size. And these are the prices based on the Uniform Relocation Act as of today. Of what you would be looking for if you were to pick a select, fixed amount. Yeah.
Excuse me, I mean to cut you off. So if I wanted a 3-bedroom, even though I'm going up my income, that wouldn't be that much right there. That 12, or that's gonna be 12.
If you pick a fixed amount, you're gonna get that fixed amount for the bedroom.
Okay.
The other option you can do is actual moving costs. Now, that would be more work on your all end because you have to keep up with the budgeting and the receipts to get reimbursed for that amount.
Oh.
And you don't have to answer those questions tonight. We're not gonna hold you to any of it, but that is what it looks like. For what will you be getting as far as a payment that Raleigh Housing Authority would be providing to cover relocation costs? Ms. John, I see your. You know me. Come on. Okay, what, how you got questions on that? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for the. But it's something about the, right, like if you're not in the right bedroom size right now, right? If I feel like I'm gonna transfer, is the transfer gonna be us moving to a different? Just us moving to a different transfer or? Because if we move to a different area, the security deposit comes, right? And if we move higher, security deposit back, right?
Yes, so there are a couple different things with that. So for this amount of money, this is based on the actual number of rooms in your house currently. What you're talking about is occupancy standards, which is like how many people are in my unit, how many bedrooms are shared, how many people are assigned, and that will work with each family individually to see, because public housing and Section 8 have slightly different occupancy standards. We'll have to work depending on what program you choose to work through some of those things. Second part of your question was the deposit. Okay, so the deposit will depend too on the public housing and Section 8 program, which way do you go with that? With public housing, we will automatically transfer that. You all will not have to touch anything with those deposits. They will automatically be moved for you.
From here to the next.
From here to the next.
First move.
For the security deposits is what we're talking about.
Just for public housing.
Your security deposit, gonna, let's say you move to Eastwood Birchwood, your security deposit's automatically gonna go to Eastwood Birchwood for you. Now, for Section 8, you would have to, talk with your landlord. So Raleigh Housing Authority would be giving Ms. Cobb a check for her security deposit return. And then you would be giving that to your new landlord. So it's not quite the same process, but you would still be getting your security deposits either back when you leave the community, or they will be transferred if it's still an RHA property that we would be. I mean, we're not gonna give you a check and then ask for it back, we would just move it over. Okay. All right, now that is the payment that we talked about. Raleigh Housing Authority is gonna go above and beyond just giving you all payment and sending you on your way. There are other things we're gonna wanna do. We're gonna be having a survey that we're gonna be asking you your opinion. What program do you want? What are you looking for? What do you need? We're gonna have staff come on board, meet with you individually, you in groups like tonight, and really work out the details. What do you need?
So we're gonna get individualized case
Yes.
management.
Yes.
How soon will that start?
That depends on how soon we can get people on board to do that. Hopefully in the next few months, but it will definitely be done before any reconstruction process starts.
But, well, we do have a survey, right,
We do have a survey, yes, it is currently up, but we will also be having people who go door to door to try to help collect those answers. We're gonna be meeting with you all here on site. We're gonna not be asking you all to, let's say, go off site to have those meetings. We're gonna come to the residents where the residents are to hold them. And it's gonna be mobility counseling and advice on all of those things we talked about, transportation, mobility, bedroom sizes, programs, vouchers. We're gonna have our voucher staff helping to clarify the differences between the programs, so everybody knows upfront what it is that each household needs. And what we want at the end of the day is we want you all to live in a house that is either the same fundamentally as where you're going, or preferably even better than where you are right now. So we are really hopeful that residents, we understand that this is gonna be a lot of work and hassle, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you all are improving and that we're getting you to even better locations. We have some landlords through the project-based voucher program that are on board to help with new places. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of options, and we're gonna have a lot of discussions, and we wanna make sure we're getting your feedback, because at the end of the day, this is your all's home. Okay. Do we have questions on what additional the section might look like? And so we kind of touched on this. What are your options and where will you go? We can pick between a couple different things. Another public housing community or site. Many of you have lived in other sites. So you might know what some of those are, you might not know what some of those are. So some of these things that we're gonna be working with you all individually might be community tours or individualized information so that you can see, you know, what site would work for you based on your bedroom size, based on location. Another thing you can do is get Section 8 vouchers. That could be a couple different things. Maybe you want a housing choice voucher and you wanna move outside of Raleigh Housing Authority property. Maybe you want to get a project-based voucher and go to one of these new sites that some of our staff have been working to bridge that gap to make sure that you all have some landlords lined up if you want to go through the project-based voucher program.
You got regional folks here. We get to talk to them about all of this too with the regional, or this is just all Wake County here?
Raleigh Housing, well, they're Raleigh Housing Authority staff. So they're gonna be in the same jurisdiction that, you know, we're talking about. All of Raleigh Housing Authority programs are within Wake County. If you get a housing choice voucher, there is a chance you might be able to port outside of Wake County. If that's something you're interested in, that would be an option that you could look at. But that process is called porting, and some of those vouchers can port, some of them cannot. It just depends on the type of voucher you move with. Does that make sense?
Let's start case management. Let's go.
Okay.
And then I can.
So we will hire 2 full-time staff who will be relocation specialists just for Heritage Park. So they will be able to work with you individually. And if they don't have the answers, they will get you the answers.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate, nobody is going to be losing housing assistance because of this redevelopment. Your housing assistance may look different than it does currently, but you will still have the right to an affordable home at a rent you can afford that is equal to or better than what you have currently. Nobody is going to lose housing assistance because of this, okay?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Where would you get, like, Section 8 or project or voucher or what other options you have? Where would you get from, does it come to you through the mail? Like, it doesn't have email, so.
Yeah.
She didn't find out about this. The only way
Okay.
you knew about this was email or on the mailbox or word of mouth.
Yeah, I'm saying if you choose, let's say you choose Section 8, you're saying,
Uh-huh.
how would you obtain it? Would you come here to get it or?
So we would be meeting with people here, and some of our Section 8 staff would be meeting with people who want the voucher. But the voucher itself, I believe, you wouldn't necessarily be handed like a piece of paper. It would be in the computer system, correct, Liz? Is that correct?
It will be, computer system, and we also will probably give them the paper.
Oh, we do?
Because they're
Okay.
gonna be needed to provide it to the landlord until we get it,
Okay.
everything approved.
But that is a great point. One of the things we'll be doing as case management is making sure we know how everybody prefers to communicate.
So that's why you gave me the phone number. I gave my address because I don't have email, so can I get it?
We would love to get some more contact information for you, if you would stay behind at the end and make sure staff gets that from you.
Okay,
Because we want to make sure we're reaching everybody the best way possible, whether that's flyers, emails, old fashioned letters,
Yeah, that
even flyers in the doors. We want to make sure that we're getting you the best way to get you. Because everybody has different preferences. Yes, ma'am.
so what are those project rates? There's community or something. First time I heard of it.
Yeah, so it's a type of Section 8 voucher where the landlord has a community that the voucher is already there, and you would move into that community with the voucher in place.
So like, is it possible, like later on, like we can get the list of those communities? or-
Yes, we will be getting you those lists. We will be getting everybody very specific individual information on, bedroom sizes, locations of places, and things of that nature. This is more of a high level today, but the case managers will be getting much more down into the details to make sure that we're identifying what your household needs specifically.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
To that? So we've been busy since last year trying to get landlords or property owners to enter into contracts with us so that we can put vouchers in their units, so that by the time people want to move, there are units that they can move into. So in the next 2-3 weeks, there'll be a number of units that will open up into 2 properties that if residents are ready to move, and then they'll be able to select from those 2 properties. But there are more properties later this year and next year that will come online that you will be able to choose from. A lot of these units that will become available are brand new properties that are just being built. So one set of units that might become available next week, they're all brand new. Nobody's ever lived in them. And the week after that, and the week of that. So we are creating a lot of opportunities for you. We're gonna project-based vouchers in about 170 to 200 units, far more than there are residents here. And then in addition, you'll have a voucher opportunity or public housing.
So one, you're trying to alleviate the waiting list with these brand new places, because there is no waiting list if we're first ones to slide in there. 2, am I hearing that right?
What?
You said 2 properties, correct?
Yeah.
2 brand new properties.
Yeah, that'll be coming where the unit
You
will.
won't have to wait on the waiting list to get in those projects.
You'll have to get onto a project-based voucher waiting list, and so we will work with you to get you on the waiting list.
But many of these places, you know, we've been working with over the last several months, may have preferences that would help put you at the top of those waiting lists.
Well, the sooner that we can make this process happen, the sooner y'all can make this demolition take
Yeah,
place.
but how long do we have to wait?
How long will you be able to stay in the process though? That's what I'm trying to.
When is construction, is that what you're saying? Or
How long will
the
you be able to stay
relocated?
in? Yeah, how long will you be able to stay?
As long as you want and as long as you qualify.
Because I lived in the neighborhood crossing for 10 years, but after 10 years, I had to move out and move here. And now it was under Raleigh Housing Authority. I could only live in that house for 10 years, me and my 3 kids.
Okay, there's,
So we are entering into contracts with these landlords, these property owners.
Okay.
And most of those contracts are gonna be for 15 to 20 years. And then we'll renew them after the contract ends. It's at the choice of the landlord, but most likely they will want to continue because the rent that they're gonna get from the voucher those rents are higher than what they would otherwise get.
So I was paying at least $850 a month for my house that I was living in. But Raleigh Housing already said my 10 years was up. I had to move over here.
What about returning here? Will there be that 10 limit if, once we return here? Because
Okay,
other
so
project,
yeah, so the housing authority is not going to continue that requirement of 10 years and then you gotta move. We're not gonna do that. I don't believe that that is the way that you want your life to be lived, where you don't know where you're gonna go after 10 years. So we wanna make sure that you have housing for the long term. There won't be work requirements that we used to have in previous redevelopments. There won't be limits on the time that you'll be able to live there. What we want you to do, want you to have is a unit that you love to live in and to make your home. Now, of course, you'll have the right to come back if you want, but once you move, you can choose to live there permanently if you like.
all right, so that, okay, last question before we go on.
Why would we be, if we choose section 8, why are we able to be redeveloped and have? Right, so it should be first choice, not something that we.
And
Right, so I think that's a HUD requirement. You have to have an active application. So we have to get people to have an application. But then, once we have an application, there are things we can do to make sure you are at the top of the list. So that that's not slowing you down coming out of Heritage Park. Does that make sense?
And the board has already adopted a policy in the last, in the meeting in April. That will essentially put all Heritage Park residents to the top of the section 8. Tenant-based waiting list, project-based, and so on, so.
So one of the things our case managers may be doing is helping you fill out applications if you don't already have a section 8 application on file, and that's the program you want to go into. But you're not gonna go on the bottom of the waiting list with everybody who's been waiting for you. You would go right up to the top. So that kind of takes us back into, can you come back to Heritage Park? Absolutely. There are a couple of things that we want to make sure that you absolutely know. Heritage Park residents will have the right to return. Like Ashley said, when this site is redeveloped, it's going to be different than the Hope 6 properties were. If you are not working, if you're not necessarily meeting a requirement, that should not stop you from coming back. We have heard that from our residents at all of these meetings as something that you wish had been different. So with this project, we are making sure that that is in place for you all. Another thing you can do is you can get to the top of the waiting list before people who don't live here now. So returning Heritage Park residents, when we go to open a new waiting list, however long from now, when we have the new construction up, you'll go right up to that top of the waiting list again. So you'll go up to the top of the waiting list when you come out, and you can go back up to the top of the waiting list if you want to come back. We're gonna, open the waiting list to you before the public, so make sure you keep up with us, make sure we know how to reach you, but we will be sending out notices so you know, hey, Heritage Park residents, if you want to come back, you have this amount of period before this waiting list opens up to the public to go ahead and get your name on. And as Ashley had mentioned, we will be offering money to help you all return. If you want to return, we want to make sure that you have that option, and we don't want that to stand in your way. Again, that is totally your preference. If you want to come back in the long term, if you're comfortable where you are, that is up to you, but we don't want that to be a hindrance for you to come back. If you want to come back and call the new Heritage Park your home, just like you're calling the current Heritage Park. Now, we have a very specific plan that has been put out that we're asking people to look at. We're not gonna go through this, it's a long plan, but a lot of these things are outlined in it, and we're open to comments right now. So if you would take the time to read this, it has been emailed to you a couple times, it is on our website. We can, if you want a hard copy, make sure we get your name so we can print you a hard copy and get it to you if that's your preferred method. But we want to know what you think of the plan. We want you to read it and tell us. Because if there are any changes that you think need to be made, anything you think we missed, now is the time to give us that feedback so we can look at it and incorporate it before it goes and becomes the official document, okay?
When does that come?
That comment period closes May 31st with an effective date of June 1st. So we have a couple of weeks. If you want to take the time, it's very much what we've gone through tonight, but it's a lot more details. You know, what notices am I gonna get? What will it look like when we vacate the buildings? Are people gonna be locked in buildings separately? Just a lot of the real fine details that you may or may not want to look at, but we would love for you all to read it and give us that feedback. And so I think that's.
Yes, just are you
I'm
gonna?
done.
Okay, just, I wanna highlight just a couple of things. These are the dates, that we mentioned. We're gonna have a virtual meeting option tomorrow at 6:30 and then Wednesday at 12, trying to accommodate as many different schedules as possible. And then we're gonna have another meeting here, on 6:30 on June 26th, right back here. And then also that same day, some more details to come. We will have like an open house, to discuss specifically if you have questions about like the redevelopment. But this June 26th meeting at 6:30 is just to talk about relocation in section 18. Two things that I want to highlight, with respect to the application, we are planning to submit the application, June 30th. Is when we are planning to submit that application to HUD. It's a 60 to 90 day approval process for our HUD to review and approve our application. And at that time is when we will officially be allowed to relocate people. So that takes us into more of the September timeframe. However, as Ashley and Laura have noted, we have these partnerships with developers who have new properties where we have these project-based voucher units. And we will be in contact with you to try to, if those folks that would like to move early, choose to move early, can still be entitled to the same benefits that we've outlined in terms of relocation assistance, and some counseling for those residents who are interested in moving early. Those options will be made available. Laura has a survey that's out or coming out. And so please, this process is, if you are engaged and respond, that is going to make the process better for all parties involved. And as Laura noted, if you don't have, we're going to try to work with you. If you don't have an email, I think that's where a lot of the
So just for everyone to know, everything that we share in here also makes it to our website. right? So the slides will be there. The links for the Zoom meetings will live there. The relocation plan and the survey are already there. And they're on that one page that I keep using this shortcut link to. I think it's just bit.ly Heritage Park RHA. You've seen it all over. I don't have a flyer on me, but the QR code that you see on the flyers always takes you back to that same page. So you don't have to wonder, where do I go to find my info? And if you forget the URL or don't have it on you, don't have anything to scan, on the home page is also a button that will just take you straight to that Heritage Park page. So anytime you can't find something, just go there. If you don't see it, please let me know and I'd be happy to be sure we add that.
Yeah, and if you can't attend these are gonna be live Zoom meetings. If you can't attend those meetings, they're gonna be recorded, they're gonna be posted on the website. If you weren't here at the meeting on April 29th, and you wanna go back and see exactly what we talked about on April 29th, that information is all also available on the website. We're gonna keep everything on here so that people can stay informed.
And the Zoom meetings later this week are the same information as tonight, just so you all know.
Right.
It's nothing new, so it is your choice if you want to attend and come and ask questions if you think of anything, but you will not be missing out if you don't come to one of the Zoom meetings.
And any questions that are asked, even if they're repetitive, we will be sure to update the website again. There's a question section. So anything that's asked, if you don't have time to listen to all these recordings, any questions we'll have documented on the website. So you have that.
Right, and you can ask questions specific to about the Section 18 application. You can ask specific questions about the relocation.
One of the things that I just wanted to add is we are entering into these project-based voucher agreements so that, and we're kind of pushing it to make it available to you. And it is on a completely voluntary basis. You don't have to move if you don't, right now, if you don't want to. But for those of you and those in the community who have children, school-age children, moving in the summer might be better than moving during the school year. So you all have opportunities. Now, this is just on a voluntary basis. Once we get the application approved, we will then be able to require you to move within a certain number of days. But we will not do it right away. We will have to give you notices, official notices. That notice would be 90 days. But we will be working with you way before then in order to get you, make sure you have a plan, make sure you have a place to, or not make sure, but try to make sure that you have a place to go to so that you can move at a time of your choice without having to be required.
The early move, is that only for those that wanna go to these new places, these newer, or is it for all of them?
Yeah. So at a minimum, and I may not, yeah. So if you want a Section 8 voucher, a tenant-based voucher, and you're on the waiting list, you can get a Section 8 voucher. You will go to the top of the waiting list, and you can get a voucher and start looking for places to live.
And they can move to another location. Is that,
Like a public housing.
would that be a later?
Property. Now, I have not thought about that as an option, Laura.
The relocation plan, I don't think it specifies that it's vouchers only would be considered for early
Okay.
movers. We would have to have the availability within the public housing. So somebody would have had to have come out, we would have had to have cleaned it up and readied it for you, but that could be a possibility.
So generally, so let me just say that. Generally, we want to give you all of the choices that you're interested in, right? So that residents here have choices and have the opportunity to go to the top of the waiting list.
So knowing this, the next, and the properties that you have, why don't we get first dibs? If you know that you're ready to try to make this happen, so everyone here, you got a property on 3 properties, 2 of them about to come vacant in 60 days. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I'm calling you. This property's about to come open. We know we gotta move you. Are you interested in getting into this spot in the next 60 days? Why isn't that taking place instead?
We could, so typically, in general, we transfer people within our property before bringing in an outside applicant. So in that case, we would be, offering those transfer spots to people at Heritage Park,
Everybody name it here ought to be hot. Everybody's phone number, email ought to be hot.
Now, there may be a couple of outliers, like if there's, a imminent danger, if we have a domestic violence situation, something might, jump up. There's different categories of transferring, immediate life and safety things, but you would definitely, everybody on the Heritage Park list would be eligible and open to transferring within public housing.
Yeah, we also, some of the feedback that we received was having the opportunity to give comments to the relocation plan. So the relocation plan is not finalized because we are waiting to give people opportunities to give comments to the plan, should people want to choose to give comments. So I think that we definitely here, and as Laura noted, I think we do already have a process to relocate people into our existing PHA properties, but we also, there's part of this is also making sure that you guys have the ability to comment on the relocation plan that we're putting in place, and we're not just saying, here's the plan, and you have to take it. That was some of the feedback that we've received at the previous meetings, and so we wanted to honor that and work through that, but it is a timing issue, right? And I think that that's something that we will definitely be trying to work through to try to make sure for people who want to move early, that we can make that accommodation.
And
Yeah, I have two questions. One is the funds available today.
are the funds available?
Are the funds, is the
Or the ones that want to move early.
Well, right now, like, that question, can we get the funds that Charles saying? For the finance part, sorry.
Yes.
Available?
It's not, we don't have the checkbook with us. But if you were.
Kenya has a credit.
To be clear, if you considered an early mover, and this is more stuff in the plan, if you were considered an early mover. Technically, HUD doesn't give us these funds until a certain point, but if you are an early mover before that, RHA would be getting you those funds to do it.
Okay, and my second question is, how can we get this to the LD next night? This information, how we gonna get decided, I'm sure.
Yes.
I need to.
Absolutely, that's, virtual Zoom meetings is one thing, we thought, do we have people who can't travel to the community center, we're gonna get with them, we're gonna.
They're not online either. They're not.
We deliver flyers.
They deliver flyers,
Honestly,
they can call in from the cell phone or any type of phone that they have. We will go to see people if we are made aware
That's
that
what
there is
is
an issue.
about to happen issue.
And we will be
Yeah.
tracking who's attending, and
Take
we will be finding the people who cannot attend to know, why weren't you able to attend? Is this something that we need to be addressing, or did you, just not come? I mean, what are the circumstances that stop people from coming? Is there something RHA can do to bridge that gap to make sure we're getting to everybody?
Is there a list for the early movers already, or what is that?
As in like sign me up, I wanna be an early mover. We have not gotten a sign up list, but we can certainly get on that.
Well, I think
It's on the survey.
It's on
on
the
the
survey
survey.
Yeah.
that you mentioned, this is why you gotta respond to the survey.
Yeah.
Make sure you respond to all the communication that's included on the survey. I also wanna highlight that we've given, different options, public housing, we've given the Section 8 vouchers, and then the project-based vouchers. One other thing that we're also offering that's been taking place is the Ready to Rent program. At the last meeting, for those who were not able to attend, at the last meeting, we had a representative who talked about the Ready to Rent program. I think we have a current cohort now. That program is free of charge to anyone who wants to sign up. And are we gonna do it?
It's Wednesday night. We're in here on Wednesday nights. We're about to wrap up this session, but we'll be starting another one.
So I got a question, the, thing that came.
Thank you. Somebody correct me, what night?
Thursday.
Thank you.
It said that if you would break the bond, y'all would give $5,000 towards the buying cost of the house.
Yeah. That is something that's being offered. There's a lot of things that we have heard. I want to reiterate that we have heard throughout this process. Another thing that we have heard throughout this process is that there has been some bad feelings about not returning to the previous site. So another thing in this plan, if it goes through like it is, and we don't get feedback, that would make us change it, is that you all, when you could be relocated to some of the Hope 6 properties where right now there's currently work requirements that could be waived for you. So, I mean, we're listening to what you're saying and we want your feedback and we have used that to draft it, but if there are additional feedback that you think we didn't hear, that we missed hearing, that you just thought of and you wanted to share, please let us know. We really want to hear what you all have to say. This is your community. This is gonna be your family moving. We want to make sure we're thinking of everything that's important to you all, okay?
And if you know somebody who wasn't here tonight, tell them about it. If they have internet access, make sure that they tell them to tune in on Tuesday and Wednesday. And we'll be back here again in June 26th.
And when do the surveys go out for the residents?
They are on the website live currently. Katie is gonna send out in case you miss it, and a reminder that has that already in it too. So that'll be in that communications coming from Katie. And we will be making sure we putting it on the mailboxes and other prominent places for you as well.
So I'm sorry, so I just want to clarify for the office staff tomorrow, that the residents must do the survey first
Before what?
before any kind of relocation. They'll be contacted once they do the survey, because we have some that are ready to move. They are ready, yeah.
Yes, we would need the survey and we will reach out to you based
So
on
that would be the next
responses
step.
from the survey.
Okay.
So if you are ready to go, hit that survey. I think it's only 9-10 questions. It's gonna take you more than 5 minutes, okay? This is Latoya.
For the Zoom links, is there also the option to call in?
Yes.
Like dial in, okay.
Yes, you can call in from the phone. So if you have a phone or internet, you can, if somebody did not get the notice, please see a staff member, tell them to see a staff member, let us know why, and we will make up that communication, figure out how to reach you all better, okay?
Regina, how many people at Heritage Park have already Section 8 applications?
29.
So there are 29 residents here, and you may be one of those that already has a Section 8 application, so you're kind of ahead of the game.
Already applied for?
Yeah.
Your name was already on the waiting list.
Oh, I got it. I'm paying into it. We can already, if I'm already doing this.
If you already have an active application on the list, and we can get with you all and let you know if you do or do not, or if it's expired or if it's current. If you already have an application on the list, that makes it easier. That's one less hurdle to jump through to get you all moving. If you don't have an application on the list, somebody will work with you to get an application on the list, if that's what you want to do, is to go to that program.
Yeah, but the first step for all of that is to respond to that survey.
Respond to that service.
So when is the survey going out again?
It is live, it is
It's already
online.
out there.
You're gonna get a summary notice of this meeting tonight with, in case you missed it, with the Zoom link, it'll be attached to that as well.
Okay.
Suppose you're gonna do the Zoom meeting, I'll just use smart with it. And then I'll have, can I do it by paper? From old school.
Yeah. We will get that survey, whatever way works for residents. Everybody's gonna be doing the survey. If it's paper, that's fine. If it's electronic, that's fine. We just need that done. Yes,
And
ma'am.
This 21st and 22nd is like a repetition of.
It's the same information as today. For anybody who couldn't make it tonight, who had something else going on, it's gonna be the same slide, same presentation.
But the June 26th,
Well, that'll be a new meeting, new meeting. All the meetings this week are the same topic.
Oh, the right.
Oh.
All right, okay, now we have, before you all leave, we really appreciate you coming, and we wanna make sure we get the raffle going. Okay.